WWE NXT has a new home starting in September 2024. We're going to tell you guys who it is, why it's shocking, and what this means for some other wrestling companies. Don't forget, I'm giving away this championship belt at 100,000 subscribers, so go ahead and click subscribe today. All right, guys, first I want to kick things off with Damian Priest. There's been a lot of talk about Damian Priest, and mainly because of the fact that he has been killing it ever since he made it to the WWE main roster. PW Insider had reported that there's actually been a lot of praise internally for Damian Priest, as the word is that over the last several months, he has really impressed management by how hard and physical he has worked for gutting through quite a few times where he's been banged up but kept going. It was previously reported that Priest had been seen as a top-level, upper echelon talent before he won Money in the Bank, and he continues to get great raves internally. Wow, this is sick. I mean, look, guys, if you watched WWE NXT when Damian Priest was in there, it was a really big change because a lot of people kind of felt like Punishment Martinez from ROH was slightly changing in the WWE system. Then he goes to WWE, gets called up to the main roster, has a great US championship reign, but ever since joining the Judgment Day, Damian Priest has basically been seen as a next level kind of guy. And it looks like WWE might be getting ready to put him as a top babyface in the company, which could be an interesting strategy considering the fact that he has been doing a really good job as a heel for the Judgment Day. Now, this is WWE doing a slow burn storyline. We don't have a clear-cut leader of the Judgment Day. We've seen Finn Balor and Damian Priest kind of have some issues. We've seen Judgment Day kind of fall apart, and then they get back together, and everything is good, all fine and dandy. But at the same time, I look at Damian Priest as a guy who could be a major breakthrough from the group. I mean, realistically, there's no wrong answers here, right? Finn Balor's killing it, Dom Mysterio's killing it, Rhea Ripley's killing it, but Damian Priest has yet to capture a world championship belt, and obviously he is Senior Money in the Bank. So if he ever does cash in Money in the Bank and fails it, don't get the impression that WWE sees nothing for him. I think it's inevitable that he will be a world champion in WWE, but it's all about telling the right stories to get there, and he doesn't need to cash in successfully for that to happen. I also really like the idea, and maybe I'm wrong here, maybe WWE would fumble, but when Roman Reigns is done with Paul Heyman in the Bloodline, Damian Priest being with Paul Heyman could be a very interesting act if they were to keep him as a heel. It's just something I would be kind of interested in as a fan. I want to turn our attention to our next topic of today's video, guys, and yes, we are talking about Mandy Rose. She was on Instagram Live doing a Q&A, and Mandy Rose is not shutting down the idea of joining AEW. During a Q&A, she said a fan basically asked her if she would consider joining AEW or TNA in 2024. She said, "I don't know, but if the right phone call comes around, maybe." Now, this is really interesting because a lot of people thought maybe Mandy Rose would be done wrestling. She's obviously got successful businesses. She just launched a podcast that seems to be doing pretty damn well. And on top of that, people still talk about her in wrestling. Now, you got to remember, Mandy Rose from Tough Enough, Mandy Rose from the very beginning stages of the WWE main roster, she didn't have everybody's respect. Mandy Rose was not somebody that people were constantly praising. It wasn't until she went to NXT 2.0, started up Toxic Attraction, changed her look, and really committed to the act. And that right there was exactly what people started getting bought into. And because they were able to get bought into it, now people love the idea of her coming to TNA or AEW. I actually would like it too. I would like to see it too. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to BS. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. She's a great wrestler. She would be a great pickup for AEW because it could help their women's division. TNA already has a very good women's division, and they book the women's division very well and very consistently. She would fit in both of those places. And honestly, I kind of want to see what Mandy Rose would wrestle like if she didn't have the WWE restrictions on her, because we all know that WWE does make you dial it down just a little bit when it comes to the wrestling aspect. So now, Mandy Rose not shutting it down. Some people thought she would be done with wrestling. It sounds like it could very well be a possibility. This is a story that I want to continue following in the near future, because if Mandy Rose joins AEW or TNA, I think it's a great pickup for the world of professional wrestling, and that is something I would definitely support. And that brings us to our final topic of today's video, guys. WWE NXT has a new home for its television show. According to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, breaking news, it appears multiple sources in the broadcast industry have confirmed that the CW network and WWE have been in deep discussions for weeks about NXT shifting from its current basic cable on USA Network to a traditional broadcast television home, airing live weekly on the CW network when the brand's current media rights deal ends in September 2024. Johnson added that according to sources, the deal is expected to be around 5 years in length, and once signed, it would easily become the biggest fee increase ever for NXT media rights. The CW has had conversations with several wrestling promotions beyond WWE over the course of this year, with discussion on series programming for both the network and their CW app, but WWE became the front runner and focus of conversations. Wow. Now, there's a couple things I want to discuss. One, how many homes is the CW actually in? Well, based on its network affiliates over the air, they're going to be covered in about 98% of television homes in the United States, which is obviously a very big deal. Also, on top of that, we really got to talk about NWA, because House of Wrestling reported a week or two ago, that CW and NWA were going to be a big thing. And then obviously we saw the spot at NWA's pay-per-view, and then it comes out that maybe CW doesn't want the NWA. I can't imagine WWE wanting NXT and the NWA both on the same network. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe this is a different WWE in 2023. But it doesn't sound like a move that WWE would typically be willing to do. And, I mean, look at it from the perspective of the CW. I don't know what the ratings will look like. I don't know what the relationship will look like, but this is going to be the biggest fee rights for WWE, and it's a span of 5 years. WWE has done something that I would have never expected. WWE packaged Raw and NXT in the previous TV rights. Now NXT is apparently good enough on its own to get its own TV deal. That's massive. There would be no excuse for people not to watch NXT. If you don't like the product, that's one thing, but in terms of availability, it would be very, very easy to watch the CW. CW has also been making a lot of changes. You might not know this, but CW is actually partially owned by Warner Bros. Discovery. They currently own 12.5% of the network. So the owner is currently held 75% by Nexstar Media Group, CBS Entertainment Group has 12.5%, and Warner Bros. Discovery has 12.5%. But what's really interesting is the CW has been really trying to change a lot based on some of the TV rights and streaming deals that they've been signing. So one of the biggest things ever since Nexstar came in as a majority owner is actually the focus on sports. So college basketball, college football, NASCAR, they're trying to get more sports networks. NXT is going to be the forefront of wrestling on the network. I think this is exciting. I'm shocked that WWE decided to put NXT on its own. I thought Raw and NXT would be packaged. That is one thing I don't like, that all of WWE's shows are going to be on different networks, but we'll see how it goes. Should be really interesting. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget, I'm giving away this championship belt at 100,000 subscribers.